Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. You have two Australians who are in a remote location. I'm in a Airbnb in France, and Adam's up on site. But when the most important part of today comes along, Adam, you're probably just waking up, and I think I'm going to be out and unavailable. So we have some transfer news to talk about, but I also finally got my video analysis software back up and running, so kind of excited for that. So hello to Jazz on the chat as well as David B. Welcome. Did we want to talk about how your feelings are in the last week? I know you haven't had a chance to talk about the Spurs match or Doncaster or even the Neil Mope Shawshank Redemption video.
Really disappointed. I feel like our preseason has been fairly woeful or very woeful. Haven't scored very many goals, conceded a lot. Two opening games of the Premier League conceded multiple goals, 7 goals, and haven't scored any. So that's also quite bad. And but the Doncaster game, scoring 3 goals was a little bit more of a sign of relief that we do have something in the bank, and we've definitely got a bit more to give. So I was happy with that performance, but we definitely need more of that.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think, unfortunately for both you and I, we weren't able to watch that match back. We know that was it Ilman and Jai had quite a good goal, but I think it was partly the player got spun around on his ankle. We had who scored our first strike? Tim Eric Boonham scored from outside the box, which was promising, as well as Beto laid on.
He's looking a hell of a player. He's had a really good preseason. I'm very impressed with him. Very impressed.
Yeah. So for those wondering, hey, we're doing tactical analysis videos. I finally got the software back, but it's been tricky to try and find time to do it. But the reality is, we haven't seen how Everton have played well against a Premier League opposition. Spurs was a difficult one to watch through, and I only went through on my video, Adam, like 15 minutes of content to talk about, and I basically got like 30 different slides I can cover, and you're like, yeah, this is going to take months to dig through, and you won't have enough time before Bournemouth on the weekend, and very quickly the transfer window heats up. So really, it's we can look at a few things on how Everton are playing. We know that they like, especially away at a dangerous opposition, when we don't have legs at the back. We're playing flat. We're playing a low block, but they were able to expose us a lot. So there's a good chance, and we'll talk about this as well. Maybe we do get Ashley Young back in the squad. What I really don't know yet is what kind of Bournemouth we're expecting to see without Solanke leading. It sounds like they're going to be trying to get. I'm not sure if you've been following that, Adam. Have any new players come into Bournemouth recently?
I'm not too worried about Bournemouth, but they've definitely turned their focus into Semenyo playing a little bit more central, and Tavernier out on the wing as well.
Yeah, and you got Kluivert as the third prong of their attack.
And Kluivert, yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how they do, because we'll go into this quickly as well while I've got you here, Adam. We'll do some of the different tactical vids. So very quickly, it was only like they nearly scored.
Sorry, quick one. Shout out to Scouser on in a wheelchair. Pleasure to have on you, mate.
Scouser in the wheelchair. He might be from Perth himself, huh? No, he's in Perth now anyway.
Yeah. All right, what have we got here?
So this was the start of the first goal scoring opportunity that incredibly lucky they didn't score, honestly. I believe it was Heung-min Son out on the left. But basically what I was showing here in the yellow was this little grid zone of where Everton's 4 players are there in yellow is the center of midfield and the wingers. So we have 5 midfielders on a game like this. Really, it was 4-5-1 out of possession and DCL up top with no help. So McNeil's way out of the picture there, behind Kulusevski, I believe. And it went out wide to the left. And because Taki knows that he doesn't have the leg speed, he's dropping back and giving the line a whole, like dropping the line back enough where they basically have any diagonal run they want, and they're going to bypass Tarky on. So we play a high line, we try and compensate, and then they can cut through us on the wing. So what happened?
Sorry, just
yeah.
in this picture, you see Dwight McNeil is so central, and I think that third highest on the right, that little yellow circle you got, I'm pretty sure that's Harrison. So look how central they are.
Yeah.
And they're essentially marking no one. And the two wide players, you've got that guy on the on that far side, on the left-hand side, in just behind, just in front of Tarky as well. So he could just cut through and slot in right behind. You've got another 3 Spurs players right behind our defenders, ready if they got pace to nip in behind them. So that's quite a dangerous position for Everton to be in. They're just spread out, so with just the gaps are too big.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're trying to control the middle, clustering can be effective at times. But if you're not blocking the channels very quickly, your entire team gets bypassed, and we saw that time and time again. And especially with a very pacey squad that Spurs actually have, we knew we were in trouble. So the next play, they basically continued down that left side, and now just at the point of release here, I believe this is Madison coming down that left wing. And what I've also highlighted in the white with the blue ring on the right wing is a whole bunch of space for Brennan Johnson to run into. So what happens very quickly then is we have now the ball's up with Madison, and he's looking for a cutback. You see Hyunmin Son and Kulusevski sitting there basically right behind the trailing leg of Tarkovsky. So kind of in that cutback location, sort of on the blind spot where Tarky can't see him, which gives Keane and Mikalenko a whole lot of work to do. And what I think was really common for this entire match, or a lot of this match, which I was looking back, the strike force from Spurs were very comfortable sitting kind of in that form of half space between the two central midfielders. Sometimes it was 3 when Dukes came back, and the centre halves. So very comfortably taking the midfield out of contention here, and it caused Mikalenko to focus solely on the run of Heung-min Son at the expense of Brennan Johnson. So we got lucky. Because right here, when that cross happens, you see basically Brennan Johnson's right there. If it wasn't for a last second knock off the calf from a diving save by Mikalenko, that was a goal within a minute and a half of playing low block. So we had this one here at 1:44. If my computer doesn't lag out, let's see. So that's Mikalenko doing a diving stop, but very quickly you see, okay, if Mikalenko doesn't have the ball, it's like two to three Spurs players comfortably on a tap in there. Keane looking kind of that he's been bypassed and he's kind of slow to make a turn anyway. So very lucky straight out to have this, So I don't know if you felt similar with this, Adam, but I imagine attacking front 3 against Bournemouth could very similarly do this to us. Semenyo's got pace. I don't know about Clivert, but if we have Ashley Young at right back instead of Roman Dixon, this is going to happen again.
Yeah, just I think I've noticed in pretty much all of these picks, Chris, is that see the 2 midfielders in Gay and Iribunum. So both of those players aren't actually marking any Spurs players at all. They need to either be essentially on that line where those Spurs players are, because at the moment they're completely out of the picture. They're not marking anyone. Roman Dixon's been taken out of the picture. The only person I can see marking is, I think, who's that person on the edge of the 18-yard behind? I think that's the Tottenham player. So Garner Gay is the only person. Yeah. So who's in the middle there with? Is that Iribunum and McNeil's closest? Yeah. So Decore and Iribunum are both out of the picture here. They're not actually marking anyone. Roman Dixon's not marking anyone. Dwight McNeil's not goal side. The only people at goal side is Tarky, Keane, and Miko. So, and the other one we were referring to as well. No one was marking Son. No one was marking the wide men. Both wingers were central. And again, if you went back to that previous one, both Iribunum and I think it was Gay or Decore, both were completely out of the game, out of the picture because they weren't goal side of anyone.
Yeah,
So
and
what's happening is they're turning us over. They're turning us over. They're bypassing the midfield and they're going out wide, and then they're cutting it back in front of basically goal side of our players.
So there's could be some other content I'll do a little bit later here, but there was one video or short I had where I think it was 9 of the Everton players were playing so compact, so this wouldn't happen later in the match, that the entire field spatially belonged to Spurs, and all you needed to do, which they scored there in about 16 minutes. So yeah, it was like around 16 minutes when they scored, was a bit of passing and moving on a really compact defense, and Everton weren't able to keep up. But I couldn't fit that into this set of screenshots, so the computer was going to crash, I think. So the other one that I think was right around this, a little bit later, but there were a few other scary moments where, like, do you remember the one where Romero nearly had a strike on goal from Pickford, straight on Pickford? It was basically from a corner play. Son chipped it over. I didn't load it into here, but I think it was Tarky. No, it was Harrison playing at the left fullback spot. They chipped it over, and the entire line ran forward, but they didn't. And Son was really clever on his left foot, kind of cross or a kind of volley to the right hand side of the 18-yard box, and it was a full swing from Romero. Lucky for us, he's a centre half that can strike with power, but not power and precision. So it went straight to Pickford, and he had some really key saves at the beginning. So, but this one happened right after, where now Heung-min Son is noticing that there is a great bit of space there between the three, I guess in this case, 4 kind of central midfielders, because McNeil is now tucked in to basically be the left central midfielder. You have Doucouré, Gay, Eric Bunham making that set of 4 right there, and Michael Keane, who's always prone to chasing the runner instead of holding his line, now takes a darting run to follow Son, and then Madison, who's in the foreground there with the white arrow, is running right behind Tarky, and Tarky's only focused on pointing on Son and didn't seem to catch the run at all. And Roman Dixon, with his kind of an athletically shaped pose there, was not tracking the runner either. So then the next line though, or the next point, was boom, look at that gap. Madison had a really good first touch, but the second one, after trying to slow himself down, he didn't have enough time before Pickford rushed him. But this could easily have been 2-0 within 10 minutes, and they got their first at 16. So
I think the main thing that we need to sort of capture here is that Everton aren't marking the space to intercept these passes that Spurs are trying to open us up with when they come out wide and then play through the channels and through the lines to get in behind us, because we're already flat-footed and they're already goal side of us. And then also what Spurs is doing is, we're not man marking players in this particular instance as well. Which player do you think is actually marking the Spurs one? We're all just sort of stuck in between them.
Mm-hmm. Right,
so,
and it probably should, knowing the pace that Dixon has, it's probably for Dixon to pay attention to. But he's the newest player, knowing like, okay, which player do you take, or who do you go with? Because I don't think Taki was ever going to truly keep tabs with Madison, but Madison of the strikers is the slowest one. Brennan Johnson on that right side, Son through the middle, and Kulusevski are all too fast paced. So someone had to take on Madison, but this is the cleverness of a player like him. He will stop, look over his shoulder, look left, look right, and find space and wait for opportunities when others are not doing it, or not keeping tabs on him. And he timed his run to perfection. And lucky us that he's good. He's great, but he's not the best of the Premier League, or he'd be slotting this every time.
Yeah, the thing that's going to worry me is when we play Bournemouth, someone like Tavernier and Cliver are going to try and cut in with pace and put crosses into the box. I think they've got that guy. Was it Justin? Their centre forward.
Let me check. I know there's been
but Semenyo's been playing central. He's been playing central since Solanke left. So, we basically just got to either man mark them or mark the space to prevent, like what they're doing here is Tottenham is just carving us through the lines.
Right. So they've got someone called Evan Nilsson and then Eneas Ernal from Turkey. Those are the two that they have at the moment. I think Evan Nilsson, the Brazilian, is their new signing. I'm not sure I've ever seen him play.
Okay. Yeah, righto.
But yeah, if they do kind of a 4-2-3-1, and I guess the real question is, do we have the pace? I sadly don't think we do. I think they're not as fast.
Is this an opportunity for Jake O'Brien to come in?
It's an opportunity that I don't see happening, and yet I think it should. I mean, if Tarky's actually injured and playing a bit kind of, if he's struggling for pace and Michael Keane's his partner, we're in trouble. But at least Tarky got a rest midweek. But really, I would be going for Jake O'Brien and Tarky every time. But it's not my decision to call, Unfortunately, it's the gaffer who we're sometimes having a few difficulties with on his tactics and decision making of late. I will say he had about as good as a lineup as you'd want to see midweek, because if Tarky is recovering from an injury and looked kind of sore, you didn't want to rest him. Pickford hasn't kept a clean sheet. He needed some confidence in there. So and Coleman needed some minutes under him. So he's back in contention. Maybe it won't be Ashley Young, but in reality, I don't think you rush Coleman back to start. No way. I think it should be Dixon.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dixon might be the better option there, just with the pace that he's got to help us out. Yeah, because Coleman might struggle, and then you've got Ashley Young, but I'd rather see him come in and put a bit of defensive solidity at the end of the game. But I'd rather see Dixon play to start, and then make sure Coleman's fully recovered.
Yeah, and I think I would rather we ship in 3 to 4 goals. I'm not sure the entire thing was Dixon's fault. No way. One was a Pickford mistake. One was actually the first goal, which I'll do a video on a little bit later on, was some excellent pass and moving off the ball, pulling apart the defense by Heung-min Son time and time again. No qualifications, Mr. Scouser in a wheelchair, but I watch and like to voice my opinions and get others to tag along as well. And if there's things I want to see, I do video recordings and watch back the different matches and try and find space and opportunities that stick out to me as glaring issues that we're seeing on the field. So. So at this point, what do you think, Adam? Do we want to talk about the Neil Maupay incident, or?
I'm just relieved that he's gone. Yeah, like he's been seen on social media. He's been rated to Tim Howard in his Premier League and Everton career scored 1 goal, and so was Neil Maupay. So yeah,
it was a good strike against West Ham, but it's been a while ago.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously he can score goals. He did score goals at Brighton, but we don't play like Brighton, and we've never suited his style of play. I don't think we were going to adapt to his style of play. So I don't see the problem with him leaving, and obviously get some more wages off the wage bill and get someone in that's more suited to our style of play.
And an obligation? No, it's not obligation. It's an expectation or some other.
No, it's a loan. It's a loan with a it was an obligation.
Because I saw a different word that wasn't obligation that said like you will buy him, but in reality, he's not coming back to Everton, and that was the whole Shawshank Redemption after he comes out of the tunnel, pulling off his shirt for freedom. And if he didn't play for Everton, I'd find it funny. He is a quick-witted character, but it's out of tune because he hasn't performed for us. We needed him to perform and didn't, and he's trolling those that pay his wage bill. So,
yeah, and as of Holgate as well, I've seen some links to championship teams, but as of yet, nothing's been confirmed. But again, he's probably someone that's not really suited to our game, and we'll fingers crossed we can get him off the wage bill as well and get someone more suited. It looks like we have
play that false 9 to play that 10 role. I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to that. So we have one person on the asking a question about the setup of defensively on do we play a back three. I see that as an option. The problem that I think we do have is do we Harrison and McNeil are playing kind of like wingbacks right now. They're playing quite deep, and occasionally we have McNeil tucking in, and he feels a lot more comfortable in the middle than he does on the wing with his pace. But what really frustrates me with it is if we're having those guys so deep, maybe we can get maybe then what we do if they're really playing that deep. Okay, fine, we progress through the middle. But I think if they played more advanced, and then we said, okay, we have Keane, Tarky, and Branthwaite, and when Keane is, when Branthwaite's fit again, you have O'Brien, Branthwaite, and Tarky. Then you have someone like Branthwaite press through the middle, a bit like how you'll see Liverpool and quite a few other squads now. They'll invert a fullback and bring him into the middle to overload that midfield, and that's very common with three at the back. You'll have one person play up and kind of have extra muscle in the middle. I see that being the Branthwaite of the three, So I could see that helping that overload in the middle that we seem to be getting.
One thing that definitely sparked my attention is Illiman and Dye and Tim Burnham, or Tim Burnham in particular. His preseason he's been absolutely phenomenal. He's definitely a shining light and hopefully a really big bright future at Everton. And just the way he positions his body, he controls the ball, he shields the ball, and then he can turn by shielding the ball, and then he actually pivots and turns his first touches into that space, which frees up, and he gets around quite a few players, and he can bypass midfields of other teams, and then we can open up quite a few channels by doing that. That's, I think, one of our ways if we wanted to play through the midfielders, that we go through him.
Yeah, he can hold the ball. And I wanted to thank Mr. Toffees here. Gifted 5 memberships away, so really appreciate your contribution there, Mr. Toffees.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. So Scouse in the wheelchair was doing a follow-up on that 3 at the back. I think what he was getting at as well wasn't even just how to occupy more space in the midfield. And you go there if you bring someone up if when you're in possession, I think. But if the idea is that you need an extra player who can drop back in front of those, in front of the flat too, that would have to be someone with enough leg speed. It's Keane and Tarkovsky, I don't think, can do it. O'Brien would do it better, but if you're the last line of defense, I think he could do it. But I would rather Branthwaite, when he's back, be that player that has that opportunity to drop if you wanted him kind of as a sweeper to basically help cover the if you play a high line, can time his runs enough to drop back and take on the likes of a Son or whoever's trying to go through the channels.
Yeah, there's one other link we've had. It's a slight link. I wouldn't say it's a very strong link. Is Tom Fellows? He's from West Brom, and he's kind of played all over the place. He's played as a left winger. He's played a little bit as a right back and right mid, but most of his play is all from the right wing, and it almost reminds me of a young Seamus Coleman. He does a lot of overlapping runs from the outside, very, very high position, very wide, and does a lot of crosses into the box. So he's actually someone that I think he was saying that his price was about 10 mil. So that could definitely be an option.
Yeah, I forget the exact wage bill Malpai was on, but I imagine he would probably be equivalent of $4 million saved right there, or £4 million saved right there. I guess the other thing we're waiting on is for tonight. We want Holgate to go. If DCL goes, he needs to go early enough in this period that we can get his replacement in, or it's too late. So at some point, we're going to have to say, no, we're going to hold on to DCL and not risk it, because we're going to have Beto and an injured Timothy up front.
Yeah. No, I think even in Illiman and Dye, his goal against Doncaster was quite good. He turn a pace, turned a player, wrong-footed him, and then slots it in the bottom left. Like that was good to see. But he's not really. He's played for Sheffield United a little bit and hasn't really been fully Premier League proven. So, but I really hope he gets off and has a good season.
Yeah. So something that Peter's bringing up here, and I think it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? Because if we say what we want, but it's not what we see happening, when are we just talking pipe dream? But we have our own views and observations, so we want to talk about it, but then we kind of have to play that fine line of what's actually what do we forecast we see on a Saturday afternoon? Because yes, we're going through tactics. I think a back three has been something that I think is a viable option for us, but we don't truly have wing back players. Mikalenko can't go there, so you really need McNeil to be in that spot.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you guys have thoughts and opinions, and as I said, I'm bouncing around here and don't have a stable home to do video analysis, so I'm a bit late. But if there's particular content or moments of these matches you would like to see, I'm more than happy to show them half. And I spent a few hours looking through that this morning just on the first 13 minutes and was just trying to figure out how to articulate the amount of the challenges we were having. We actually were competitive. Yes, they were more likely to score, but we had some scoring opportunities ourselves and just blew it. Jack Harrison, like basically
At the back post, yeah.
Dukes's he went up for the header and missed it, and Harrison didn't seem prepared for him to have missed the header and wasn't ready for that volley and scuffed it out wide. But he had a wide open net if he struck it first time, on that back post off the really good cross from McNeil. So there are moments of positivity, but they're few and far between, and we feel like we're clutching at straws a bit. But there are positives, but a whole lot more negatives generally going on for Everton. I'm not sure who we bring in. I know and Adam's talked about a few players, and I know we have a show later tonight. I won't be able to attend that, unfortunately, but a few of the channel members will be talking more in the transfer rumors and anything beyond Mopé leaving that comes up.
Yeah.
So, anything else before we sign off? Or?
I think we're buying the whole Leon team.
Well, by the French league, it seems to be the way we're going.
Yeah, we must have scouts over there.
Something like that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Onana was a good pick, and the other French player he's good in his own right, but not for us. We need a target man, and he was not that. So, anyway, I think we're all square. Adam, is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, that's it. Just another good night, another good day up in the Cup of Mines.
All right, Adam. Well, until next time, up the toffees.
Peace.